close. They're spilling all the secrets, the highs and the lows. HR blunders, they'll laugh, they'll inspire. Two sisters on fire, lifting the empire. From the block.
All right. Welcome back to HR Blunders. It's Jazz, the life engineer, and the HR whisperer.
Yay, yay, yay. We're back.
We are back and in full effect. And if you guys missed it earlier, then you'll have to watch the replay where we actually shared our new intro. And so I'm just going to see if I can get it off the screen. Since we're not there we go.
Yay.
Okay. But no, that was pretty cool. Again, I know over the last few weeks since we've been doing this, we talked a lot about technology and how you can use technology that actually was created from AI, right? There's an app that we were able to use that you type in a couple words, tell it the genre, the music that you wanted to use, and it came up with everything with a nice little jingle. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. All right. So you want to kick us off, Jasmine, with our topic for tonight?
Yeah, sure. So tonight we're talking about, are you saying no to your career? And what we mean by that is basically the choices and the decisions that you're making on a daily basis. Are those decisions and choices moving you closer to the career that you desire or further away from the career that you desire? So a lot of times saying no to your career looks like saying no to new opportunities. We get, sometimes we get opportunities presented to us, and a lot of times we don't have the right mindset around them, right? All we see it as is more work and more responsibility, but we don't see it as a chance to learn. We don't see it as an opportunity to gain additional skills that will help us to move our careers forward. And I just really want to appeal to some of our younger generation about this, because I've seen this happen a few times to where they said no to different career opportunities. And then when certain opportunities came up that they really wanted, management and other people were reminded of the opportunities that they passed by. Right. And so you've got to develop yourself as a person that can be leaned on and that can be trusted. And I think that that comes from taking on some of those new opportunities.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I think that that is very, it's a very pertinent topic during these times. Because again, we've talked about the lack of critical thinking that's out there, but also the lack of just doing, right? And so some people may even be peer pressured or trying to, get along with the crowd and taking a stance. Well, I'm not picking up any extra work. I'm not, taking on another role or what have you. And again, during these times that are uncertain, that are a little bit more stressful for organizations, you have to think your managers and your bosses are under stress as well.
Right.
And so if you have any opportunity to maybe be a solution to that, you're going to shine. You're going to stand out for the right reasons, right? And so you want to make sure that you actually take that opportunity to put yourself in a position to shine.
Right. And that's the key. And no matter what industry that you're currently working in at this time, everyone is looking for ways innovative ways to lean out, right? To be more efficient, to streamline staff and processes and etc. So that's just the season that we're in, right? Um,
Yeah.
and huh,
No, I was just going to say, you want to be solution based.
right. But that goes back to the critical thinking too, because so many people are problem-based thinkers. They're
Hmm.
not solution-based thinkers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I don't, I really just don't see where solution-based thinking is being taught.
Yeah. And I've seen that in business as well. And again, there's a reason that, like, let's talk real. Like for most people, and I'll tell you, like I've dealt with it. Now I don't even pay attention to it because sometimes I don't even tell people when they ask, "What do you do?" I tell them I'm a stay-at-home dog mom because I understand that they don't have the capacity to even understand or the vantage point. The reality is, most of us, especially in our community, um, business to us is not successful. Like we may know people that have businesses, and honestly, again, we can pull metrics and data. Most of them don't even make over 60K a year annually
Right.
in those
Yeah, that's
businesses.
correct.
It's more of a hobby. And so for individuals that are going into business for themselves, they may be actually getting bad advisement, especially again, if you've grown up with that uncle or whatever, and that's your representation of business and it hasn't necessarily been successful. Um, then you're missing out on some key skills. But the same thing applies. And I would even argue that you may even need to put yourself out there even more. You may even stretch yourself. And that's why, again, for entrepreneurs that are successful, those that again things seem to work out for, they have traits. They have similar characteristics and traits. And those typically are that they are go-getters. They're
Right.
risk takers. And again, that risk can even mean the willingness of to look stupid to others, right? Or to
Right.
look silly to others, right? Because sometimes you can be so far and ahead of the times that what you're doing may look odd or goofy to other people. And then they just have to catch up. Maybe, a
Yeah.
few years down the road, they realize, wow, that really was strategic, or that really was pretty smart. I remember even just a few months back, um, again, like I understand the power of networking. I understand the power of connections. Like I've always been a great connector. I also understand the power of making money passively. And so I started to, as I was doing all this networking, meet individuals for whom, again, they understood the assignment, right? That this was not
Right.
non for profit. We're in this to win it. We're in this to make money. And
Right.
so they would approach me under the guise of like, let's partner. I have a profit sharing, program that I offer with people that I work with. And, it's a way for you to earn some money, basically for referring people to services, right? That I don't offer myself. Now, that
Right.
does a couple things for a client. When you can become that one-stop shop, or when you can,
Yeah.
again, relieve that stress or anxiety or the need for them to go and have to search out services that you already vetted and you have a trusted person that can offer them to them, you look resourceful to them. Like it helps to increase your leverage with them and your platform with them. And then when you again add on to that, if you have an agreement with someone or a contract with someone where you're able to get some payment on the back end, like that
Right.
makes it all the better, right?
Right.
And so I remember with someone that because I have someone, and actually now I have a couple people in my network that have businesses, and I didn't even know these things existed, but they go into companies and they free up revenue. They're able to go into organizations, and it works best with larger companies. Like the more millions of dollars of revenue, the higher the savings they're usually able to garner with ancillary things that you don't even think of. Like a lot of companies provide their employees with cell phones and company
Hmm.
cell phones and things. And they're just merely, a lot of times it's them going in and renegotiating contracts because they have different relationships with those vendors than that company may have. And so I also saw it as a win for me because I'm a service provider. So if I'm talking with a company and they need my help and my services, but they don't have the budget for it, again, why not bring on this individual that can help free up the revenue and budget
Right.
so they can afford my services? So there's a win on three ends, right? And so I remember presenting this to someone who was struggling because every time you talk to her, like she didn't have no clients. It was a bad year. It was like one of the roughest years for her. And this lady, she had been in business for years. But I also now I understand she's in her own way because what worked in the past is not working today. And she's
Yeah.
unwilling to change and shift. And so I presented to her, I said, hey, and then she wants to charge these crazy prices. Again, these old prices that don't translate to today with all the technology we have. For goodness sakes, we just did our own little intro jingle versus in the past, you would have to go find a producer and then you probably would have to jump for that little one. Actually, that was a total of probably like between 30 or 50-second jingle. And you would drop like $20,000 or $30,000 to have somebody create that. And in a matter of minutes, AI can go ahead and create something like that for you. And so you have to adjust again your prices and your offerings, to fit the times and
Right.
incorporate some of those resources to cut your time in delivering things as well. But I presented to her like, hey, I know you're working with companies and you said they want your services, but they can't afford them. I'll make an introduction with you with this person that, again, works in this kind of revenue generating space. Now they even have a name for it. Oftentimes, some of them call themselves chief revenue officers, fractional chief revenue officers. And she it was weird, Jasmine. It was really weird because she started shaking her head. She was like, but I don't do that. I don't do that. And I was like, okay. Cause I was like, shit, what the hell is going on? I was like, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah,
I had to call my other friend who is in business too, who know her. Cause I was like, that is crazy. But I'm not one to force. I'm not going to force nobody.
Right.
I am not. But that gave me my cue that I could stop wasting my time there and trying to figure out solutions or how we could help get her business and and generate business for her. But it was the weirdest thing to me. And again, sometimes you can be so closed off
Right.
that you end up hurting yourself and you end up stunning your growth. And so I
Or
think
so stuck in the past, you just miss it, right? You're just missing, what's moving forward. Yeah, because you're so used to doing it a certain way.
And I've definitely seen it in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
Because things are involving it, especially with the technology. So especially in I've worked in union environments. And so again, that's where again, you have to think with the change in technology. So the roles may change or the way we need work to be done because we find ways to be more efficient with it. Right. And you can have a union employee quick to tell you, that's not my job. I don't do that. I'm not supposed to do that. And then, okay, you can stand on that square. And then when we get 6 months to a year down the line, and I'm having to have a conversation and let you know, hey, this is your last day. We're actually going to have to, we're having reductions in force and we're having to release, a third of our workforce. Then everybody's sitting looking crazy. But you didn't allow yourself to learn that additional skill that would be transferable, perhaps in maybe another department.
Right.
So have actually been transferred to another department while again maybe because of technology changes, again it just didn't make business sense to keep that department up and going. But learned another additional skill and resource, we could have probably made an argument and transferred you into another department. Yeah, working with maybe different technology or having you learn the new technology that's being rolled out. And that's where I really see, again, we talked about the AI and stuff like that and people's fears or concerns with working with it and not wanting to learn the technology. And again, my quote, it's not the technology or the AI that's going to take your job. It's the people that know how to use AI that are going to take your job.
Right. That's so true. Because I was reading an article about that too on LinkedIn, and it was just saying that Um, you know, man, it was over 50% of managers were looking for people that knew how to use AI. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but so many people are just fearful of the technology, and it's really dangerous to
Yeah.
have that thought process in this time because um, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get left behind.
Yeah. No, and it's sad. It's really sad to see. And like, because you can almost predict it and,
Yeah.
kind of call it out. But again, if you can only say but so much because you're going to
Yeah.
wear yourself out trying to
Right.
pull people along. And so you have to kind of decipher again where it's time to just cut ties, and just
Yeah,
move
that's
on.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're not really on the same path.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
And I'm quick. I'm probably too quick to cut it, honey. I'm like, look, like that OT Genesis son, look, you got to cut it.
good.
And people be look backpedaling and look, you know what happened? Well, I didn't mean because I already done moved on. When I start seeing you, like again, you can't get with the program because you're not about to slow me down. Like, and I would tell you with the quickness, I do it very polite or very politically correct, very corporate, look very demure, right? I don't think, I don't think this is probably the right fit for you. So I'll circle back when something else comes along with right. Oh, I'm interested. I'm in. Oh, really? Mm-mm. Mm-mm, because I'm good. Because you're going to be a bottleneck.
Yeah.
And in my world, a bottleneck. The only thing you can be a bottleneck is in between me and my money, and we don't do
Right.
that. We don't do
Yeah. So
that.
we
And
don't do
so
that
you got to
at
go.
all.
Yeah. So I think that, that's true. I think even just life experiences, like you never know who you're going to meet. Like sometimes you're one person away from like um accomplishing your dream.
That's
Or
true.
you could be a third person removed. And like I was telling you earlier about, like I was in DC, right? And even it happened up at dinner with these people. And then the conversation turned to like one of the people there, he apparently is friends with um a very prominent politician's younger brother. And so he just, he threw the last, he was like, would it, interest you to meet he named the last name. And look, I ain't gonna say because I don't need y'all up on me like that. But again, like I never would have thought this dude knew nobody. Because
Yeah.
not the way that he presented, but no, you just never know.
You
Like you
don't. That's
never
true.
know. And
That's very
again,
true.
it just cuts down your time
Yep.
because sometimes you can send all the emails you want to, right? You're trying to get
Yeah.
in or get a meeting in with this company or even, the political space with this politician. And they probably got such a tight, strong firewall. Your emails are probably just going to spam
Yeah.
into somebody's junk folder and you don't even know it, right?
That's true.
Versus like meeting someone that is able to like take you by the hand because they feel good about you. And they're like, hey, you got to meet this girl. You got to meet this lady, right? And
Yeah.
then they've already elevated you and, kind of increased your worth or what have you. So, when you do begin to engage with the individual, they're already looking at you from a different vantage point of
Right.
respect or as an authority in the field that you're in. And so that can make all of the difference. It really can. It was a tactic I learned when I was in MLM, when I was in my 20s. And I'm telling you, like people clown MLMs and folks that do MLM business, honey, say what you want. But I tell you, the knowledge and exposure I learned from that whole journey rivals the degrees that I have. And I don't have no play degrees. Like I graduated from the numbers. Look, and I've been throwing this out lately because, sometimes you got to stand up.
Papa Joe.
Yeah, I graduated from the #2 program in the country from my grad program for labor and industrial relations. Now, I didn't know that when I got accepted in the board. I found out after. That was all I got. It wasn't me being strategic, like, oh, I'm gonna go here because it's rated so high. No, but no, the MLM, like the lessons and things I've learned, especially as an entrepreneur on my own, like those I'm able to pull back, and I kept such notes, and I'm thankful I kept like the notebooks. So sometimes I go to them and I will reread those things or the goals, because I really learned about goal setting and manifestation and things like that, and got really into the whole Tony Robbins and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff through
Yeah,
that.
that's what got me on the track with it too, was MLM. I think that
Yeah.
the personal development piece
Yes.
of MLM is top notch.
hmm
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And then you learn, like, again, it's about relationships and the people that you know. And you also learn, like, one of the things or tactics they taught us was, again, sometimes people are so busy trying to be in competition with people. But
Mhm.
when you get that stinking thinking out of your mind and you realize, no, I need, like, winners collaborate, amateurs compete. And so when you begin to understand that, like, okay, if I meet someone and I edify you, and let me break, because some of y'all are gonna have to go to the encyclopedia, but edification is a word that means to talk someone up and to build them up, like to another person. So if I meet someone and I'm edifying Jasmine, Jazz the life engineer, you have to meet her. She is like top in her field. This girl's mind is like no one else you've ever talked to. And again, if I have made an impression on Jasmine, and then she meets the person that I've introduced her to and I've talked her up to, and then she begins to talk highly of me. What does that do for my for my worth, for
Right.
my value? It stacks my value that much higher, because again, they didn't know her before, right? But see, I've already planted in their mind, like, this person is like top notch, top of their field, XYZ, an expert. And so then for them to come behind me and then now they're talking highly of me, again, that just puts you that much higher, right?
Right.
And I find myself doing that. But the nice thing that I love is I'm not doing it falsely. Like I am, again, because I put myself outside of my comfort zones, and I've been able to meet some really just awesome people that are great in the fields and functions that they operate in the work that they do, and the people that they work with. And so, it's awesome when I get to make great introductions with people, and and hopefully I've made a good impression on them, and
Right.
they kind of return and speak highly of me as well. Again, it's just is twofold, right?
Yep.
And it's nothing like that, and it helps you close deals quicker.
Yeah.
And as a business person, like, that's where you want to be. Like, if you think of it internally, again, like, that's what can make or break. Like I've told you guys, behind the scenes, right behind those closed doors and those performance discussions and compensation plan and discussions, how it goes. Oh, he's
Right.
a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. And so you want somebody says he's a good guy, or she's a good girl, right? And you know, and making sure that your promotion goes through, or that you're not looked over or surpassed for that promotion. And again, in business, it's kind of more direct, right? Because it hits your bottom line.
Yeah.
Uh, and that even happened to me yesterday. I had somebody I've known for years, a friend, reached out to me. Hey, I think I have somebody that needs your services. They, I sent them over a brochure. The person called me a couple times yesterday. I missed them. I called them back while we were on the phone. They went ahead and signed the contract and paid, like, so I didn't even have to do a sales call. Like,
Right.
they were prime and ready.
Ready to go. Mm-hmm.
I researched you. She said I couldn't even get the brochure fully open. So I just went online and I researched you. And there's some others of your services I think I'm going to need too. And so, but again, I am smart enough to know and understand that the person that led that her to me, because of the value she held in that person, in
Right.
her opinion, to
Right.
then have that person have such a high value and opinion of me, it
Right.
helped substantiate this stranger's opinion of me,
Right.
right? And so, like I said, and then it translates into actual dollars, and from an entrepreneurial standpoint.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. No, it can be key. It can be the make it or break it. But what are some things that you've seen where people have kind of, I guess we can say, shot themselves in the foot, you know, like in the corporate space with missed opportunities?
I think seeing, just like you were saying earlier, that the manager is under stress, and then we've got like tight deadlines on things, and they're trying to get people to sign up to work extended hours or do specialty things to get us back on track or get the program back on schedule or to get to reach whatever milestone. And you're like,
Mhm.
nope, sorry. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
man, like, when we were like young, engineers and stuff, we were just running for every opportunity we could to, prove ourselves, and get
Mhm.
in those spaces up. And I'm just like, man, so um I just think it's tough. I don't know where the disconnect has happened there. And I mean, I see it in even not early career, but even people that are, higher up in their careers as well, do the same thing. So I don't know where the disconnect has happened there for people, if they don't see a direct correlation maybe between those choices and their career movement. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but there's definitely a direct correlation there between um, how you respond to opportunities that are presented to you and upward mobility in your career.
Mhm.
So, I know for me, I had a situation where if I'd have said no to the opportunity that I was presented, I wouldn't have even been able to keep the position I had.
Mm.
So that was like I would have actually lost out on an awesome manager that I had and everything, because what happened was if I wouldn't have taken the opportunity that was presented to me, um they had a reorganization like right after that,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't have been classified appropriately to stay with the manager that I had been supporting me. I would have gone to another manager that was not very supportive.
Yeah.
So if I'd have said no, I would have had a mess.
Yeah.
So, and it was an awful time. Like,
Mhm.
I was going through divorce.
Mm.
So my mind was just not there, right? To really learn a new skill like that. But
Mhm.
I still knew, right? I needed to
Yeah.
figure it out. And I said yes to it anyway. So I had some, personal challenges going on at the time,
Mhm.
but I still fought through that and learned the new skill set. And if I wouldn't have done that, my career would have taken a very different direction.
No,
So
definitely. I mean, and for some individuals, it could have not meant just going to another department. Could have meant um, being released. Like if they were
well,
going to
yeah,
string, you know,
yeah,
being because we covered this as the Louis Vuitton, the
yeah, yeah,
LV CEO said, being promoted outwardly,
yeah,
you know. And so I think folks don't know because, yeah, like when you are scrambling, again, another behind the scenes, when you're scrambling and you're doing these reductions, things change so much. But then, like, you might know, like, there might be a particular department that you've gotten funding for, or maybe that um, the government is sponsoring or what have you, and you might not even have it built up yet, right? And so you're looking for folks that have a skill set to be able to go into those jobs so that you can work on that initiative. But if another program maybe has gotten like lost its funding, like you're gonna have to cut that program.
Right.
And so again, like you might be being asked about this other skill set or to move because you have your, your leaders and your HR team in the background actually working through some restructuring and where they can place people and some new org design or what have you. So again, you do have to be open,
Yeah.
sometimes to things that you might not necessarily. The same thing where I see people miss, especially certain cultures. I'm gonna say my culture is being involved in the non-work activities, right? So you've chosen to go into this corporate space, and again, you got to make it or break it, right? And so what comes with it is the non, again, like the things that are not, you might not look on the surface as being work, like you're always on. And so when they have those little get togethers, when they have those company functions, like it would behoove you to go and show your face.
Yeah,
But
a lot of
also,
people don't do that.
I
That's
see,
true.
especially like African Black people, like they sometimes will shy away from those. And I will tell you, like, because there's times I would go to those different things and then, oftentimes be one of very few or only one or what have you. And again, it's those connections that you're able to build and make that show up when you least expect it.
Yeah.
It shows up even in like groups that you're part of, like on board, like I'm part of a board. And like I remember, like I've gotten calls. Of course, I know at the end of the day, it's always God, right? Because God will whisper your name in people's ears. But you get calls like, hey, we were talking about you the other day. Um, your name came up because we had this. That's how I got on the executive board for the board that I'm on, that I've been on. And again, like at the age that I was, like it wasn't even, and even like the position and wealth, like that was at, like I was not probably the prime person, right?
Yeah.
But I also like I leaned in when I got on that board. I leaned in and because I genuinely like really built relationships and enjoyed the people that were on the board with me, and I learned from them because many of them were older.
Yeah.
Some of them were retired, and so I would get invited to go to the country. Hey, Clanetta, I want you to come have lunch with me, at my country club, and I would go over there, and and I typically would walk away learning something or having had some new experience that
Yeah.
otherwise they hoped open my vantage point. And again, you're building those relationships. So like when an opening became available on the executive board, yeah, my name came up. Like I didn't know these people were discussing me, and I'm like, I think we should ask Clanetta. I think Clanetta would be a good. Yeah, and I just you get a call and like, hey, your name came up. We have this opening on, XYZ.
Wow.
And everyone said like it should be you. Like are
Wow.
you interested in this? And
No, I'm not interested.
yeah, there would be somebody that might say, right. And I remember even again with the same board, I got to go to like the global conference because one, I didn't even know
Oh,
that it
wow.
was. I didn't even know it was a global organization like that. Right? First of all, and then, but what it did, it expanded my vantage point, right? And again, it wasn't a lot of people that looked like me, but
Right.
God worked it out between them and my family. Like they sponsored me, and then my company was all excited. My boss, who like he hated me or was, in competition with me, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna pay for your, you put your hotel and your rental car, everything on the company. We're gonna pay for that." Like, okay, so I went free of charge. Like it was,
Wow. That's amazing.
got there and realized this is a whole global organization, because they have people flying from all across the world. And
Oh
then
wow.
I learned that I didn't realize, like, on the national board, like, that's where you had, at the time she was still alive, Barbara Bush and
Oh wow.
those likes. And again, because somebody else that I had got built a relationship with, like, he was in those meetings. So then I got privy to, some of the discussions, because I merely came down to lunch or breakfast in a hotel before, the events of the day started, and got
Right.
waved over, oh, Clement, join us, and got privy to some of the shenanigans and things that were going on. And then later ended up, because especially, back then I was young, because I really looked like a young tender. Look, and so
It's so crazy.
it was some 20 somethings there, like, hey, how are you? And so there was like a dinner event of more like kind of formal dress up. And so I ended up sitting with them, right? And they were all like 20 something, just out of school. Well, one of the kids was like best friends with Sam Walton's grandson, who at the
Oh
time was
wow.
sharing how he was. And for y'all who don't know, y'all be shopping there. I don't, but Walmart, Sam Walton, that's who we're talking about, the owner of Walmart. But and he was explaining how his friend, he's being groomed to take over the whole family enterprise, right? And so
Wow.
they've been working at um and so, and again, and I learned, again, my vantage point was further expanded, because sitting talking to these kids, they had gone to all the Ivy League colleges and stuff.
Yeah.
And I learned, again, it further opened my eyes of how, like, some people live a whole different way.
Yeah.
'Cause these
You
kids
so
live
true.
a whole different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? And, and again, it was just so interesting to me. But I also learned about some, again, a new system that was like with this whole, like, how the car industry thing was changing. Because again, these young kids, they were sharing with me already in California, like in San Francisco, there was like this company that launched where it was like a ride share, where basically you can go on an app
Oh
and
wow.
find a car that you want, and you pay to use it for the number of hours. Like, you need it for 2 hours, and then you go and you're able to open it with your phone, open the car with your phone. You drive it for the 2 hours you need, and you drop it off at this location, at your next location, and check it in. And you're just billed for like the 2 hours or whatever that you need the car. So the young man was sharing with me, he didn't see a need to have a car. So
Yeah.
he eliminated a car note and insurance. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, that is so smart.
It
And I
is.
was like, okay, so the world is changing, because I come from the car industry,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, like, so, like, you just, again, you never know, right? And those
So true.
conversations and things would not have happened if I was so closed off, or like,
Right.
I'm not going to that event. I'm just about to stay in my hotel. I'm just about to go, I got some family here. I'm gonna go hang out with my family, that's in town. And I still got to do some of that, but
Right.
again, like, I knew I was there for a purpose, and so
Yeah.
it was important. I even met, which, don't get me started, and this was before the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. But I met Jerry Jones, and I
Oh,
shouldn't say,
okay.
let me watch my mouth. But I met Jerry Jones before the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, by way of his daughter. Again, someone else I knew. And at this event, they pulled me over, up front, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta introduce you to her," because Dallas does a lot with this particular charity that I'm
Oh,
on the
okay.
board with. Like, they raise a lot of money, the Dallas Cowboys, and so, they were at, I don't know what happened. I probably shouldn't share this, but I don't know what happened. But they were telling me that she was being groomed. She was gonna take over leading the team, but obviously something happened, because a few years later, like, her dad was still
Right.
in the seat. I think he's still in the seat today. But
Yeah.
but no, but they were like, "Oh, you're gonna meet her parents," and they literally like grabbed me and took me over. And I remember, because I thought they were on their I thought they were on their way out, like because I was like, "Oh, hi," because they were sitting there looking, like, and so, you know,
Crazy.
no, but I did. That's why I was shocked a few years later when, like I said, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, and he was very outspoken,
Yeah.
and I was just like, wow, like it really changed
Well,
my,
he's very outspoken in general,
yeah, and
about a
it
lot of
really
things.
changed
So
my perspective of him.
right. I can
Yeah,
understand that for
because when I
sure.
met him, he seemed like a very demure, sweet man, but some of those uprooted traits came out, during that whole time. But again, like all of that is through connection,
Right.
right? And things that I could not have accomplished, before, or experiences that I would not have had before, you know.
So true.
So, yeah, so you gotta like push yourself to step outside your comfort zone, and you'll find it valuable to your career, like
Yeah.
whether you're working in corporate with someone, you'll find it valuable in entrepreneurship, especially if you own your own business and you're growing that and building it. But you'll also find it in just life in general. Again, like it may shape how you dream, right? Because you can only dream as big as your exposure.
Closure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
because you don't know what you don't know. Like I
Right.
even look at one of my friends in Miami, and I see like he'll post certain things, because again his network is changing, right? With older
Right.
people, like I would even garner to say I've seen it grow from multimillionaire to billionaires now. But they again, and so they're meeting or taking him to like their little country clubs or little um private clubs that they have there that you have to like be a member to even
Okay.
go on the premises, because he'll post little stuff. But I've seen the elevation in him
Yeah.
even, right? Because again, once your consciousness has been exposed to something, it can't go back.
Yep.
Like once it's been open. And so when you see the possibilities of what could be, and especially as an entrepreneur, like it's hard to, again, it's like something in you that like you can't, it's hard to go backwards. And so it's something in you that subconsciously pushes you. If you're like, okay, I got to get to a point where I can have this, or where
Yeah.
I can have this experience again. Right. And then that thing will become normal. And then it'll be, and again, you'll get exposure to something else
Something else. Yep.
greater. And again, you'll elevate to that, and you'll keep growing and elevating. So,
So true. So true.
yeah.
Exposure is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't limit your exposure, guys. Don't.
Right.
Again, some of these companies, they'll even train you. So
Yeah.
you just have to show the willingness, right?
Right.
Like,
And that's
listen,
kind of the point of this whole episode. Yep. Is the
yeah.
willingness to say yes to the opportunities because you
Yes.
just don't know where they're going to take you.
Yeah. And sometimes they will actually pay to train you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to pay to train you, but they like, some of these
Yeah.
corporations might actually
Yeah.
invest in,
They usually will.
yeah, and paying to actually train you. But you first you gotta take that chance and like the risk of looking, as some people might say, stupid, or
Right.
looking, goofy or what have you,
Yeah.
and just remember, like, look, a few months from there, you're not gonna look so goofy, right? Because now you've gained this extra skill. And again, when those
Right.
promotion opportunities come about, what's the thing that sets you apart from your peers?
Right.
Probably that new skill that you went into and thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to look so silly doing this. And so, yeah, don't limit yourself.
Yep. So
No
true.
limits. No
So
limits
true.
at all. So I guess in closing, is there anything that you want to share or leave the people, or any upcoming events or anything like that?
No, we don't have any upcoming events right now. We're still trying to close out some of the courses that we already have going. We've got a financial literacy course going now, and uh, a course on kind of retirement planning. And
Okay.
so, yeah, so we're trying to get all of those courses closed out before starting some new stuff. So once those are closed and we open another section of those, I'll have that available.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
so
where
that's
can
kind of
people find out information
yeah.
about
So
that?
www.jazzalifeengineer.com.
Okay. Okay.
They can go and get info, and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Jazz a Life Engineer.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And as always, you can find me on social media, TikTok, IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, under the HR Whisperer or Edmund Enterprises. Sometimes they're interchangeable. And then our website is www.edmund-enterprises.com. And
Awesome.
the HR Whisperer. And stay tuned. Look, stay tuned for some more tunes from some more theme songs for some of my other entities because I'm on it now. I'm over here producing music. Look,
All right.
a thought, you know,
Right.
but everything is possible.
It is. It
Everything
truly
is
is.
possible in
Yep.
2025. What a time to be alive. And that's
Yep.
the big thing I'm going to stress through this year because I know some people are they getting down and on their, in their emotions. And they're focusing on the negative or what they
Yeah.
perceive to be the negatives. And again, they're missing out. This is a
Yeah.
great time to be alive.
It is.
This
It
is
is.
history.
It
Like
is.
it or like it or love it or hate it.
Yeah. It
Look,
is.
thanks for
It
years.
really is.
We got the Gulf of America. Look,
Not the
again,
government.
like when you think 20, 30 years and your kids are in school and grandkids and they learn about the Gulf of America and it changed, the name changed in 2025. During that era, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be able to talk and shed some light on, with them about
Yeah.
what else was going on during that era. And so it's like, what are you doing to be a part of history? Like,
That's so true.
what are you doing to participate? Because again, when you think about like those grandkids or those great nieces and stuff, if they look and ask, like, Aunt Netta, what were you doing back then? I'm making sure I have some stuff to tell them.
Right.
That's my, again, that's my commitment to myself. I'm going to make sure I have a story to tell them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good story. I'm not going to say, I was just doing nothing. I was just upset. I was upset during that whole era,
Yeah.
and arguing and fighting with people and just, ticked at everything. No, like I'm going to make sure that I have some positive, tangible things to be able to
Right.
share with them, or they'll be able to see, like the physical manifestation of, what comes from this era, from my from my efforts. So
That's awesome. Yes.
yeah, no, definitely. Well, guys, as always, thank you for joining us. Again, another episode of HR Blunders.
Yay.
You can find the playback here on YouTube at HR Blunders, or you can find us also on Spotify.
Yes.
All right. Enjoy your night.
Time.
Yes, indeed.